This video is brought to you by Practical Music Theory for the Rock Guitarist, my new book, which is a comprehensive guide to all aspects of music theory necessary for playing rock guitar. From blues to the cycle of fifths, from understanding and using modes to choosing the right notes for a melodic solo, from pentatonic scales to chord construction and keys. It's all covered in a clear and concise manner. With accompanying video demonstrations, jam tracks and tabs, you'll learn to use the knowledge you gain in accessible ways that make sense for less than the cost of a few guitar lessons. Check out the link in the description for more details. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. That was my interpretation, or some might say approximation, of the Jimmy Lyon guitar solo from Eddie Money's 1977 massive hit, 2 Tickets to Paradise. Jimmy Lyon is not a player who's ever been on my radar before, but I'm going to make it my business to go and check out other artists he's played with and some of his other work that he's done with Eddie Money. Again, not an artist that I'm really that familiar with. Sort of on the periphery of my awareness for a while. Now I'm going to go and check it out. Check him out, rather. I say approximation of the solo because I'm fully aware that there are one or two places where my timing on it isn't an exact replica of the original version of the solo. But the most difficult thing I find when I'm doing these solo-based videos is not necessarily getting all the notes tabbed out or anything like that, or performing it. It's what you've got to do is try and make something that was originally recorded very spontaneously and in the moment. You've got to make it sound a bit like that and not as if it's just some kind of recital. And so to that end, I was happy with the overall feel of it, so I decided that that's what I was going to go with. Anyway, that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. Let's take a little bit of a look at what's going on in the solo.
Solo explanation.
Right, starting as always with the chord sequence we're playing over, we have 2 chords. That's it. We have an A chord and a G chord. 2 bars on each in a repeating cycle, a bit like this. Just round and round that for the entirety of the solo. The whole thing seems to settle on an A chord tonality. It's sometimes difficult when you've got a chord sequence like this, which is just alternating between 2 chords, which one you detect as the home chord, but it certainly seems to be the A in this case. And because of that, we're using mainly an A major pentatonic throughout the solo. 1 extra note added in, and we'll get to that straight away, because we start on this C sharp note on the 3rd string, 6th fret, and that's in the A major pentatonic, but the next note, the D, isn't. And we start off with this little kind of motif that we've got here. And then we basically just repeat that, a variation on it. Like that. You can almost kind of hear the question and answer sort of thing going on in that as well, which is something I often talk about in terms of phrasing and effective licks in solos and stuff. Then we head up to the 9th fret for that kind of thing there, just landing on that E note again, part of the pentatonic. And then from there on in, we're up in pretty much this pattern up here, pattern 1 of A major pentatonic, between the 14th and 17th frets. Like that. And we start off with a couple of double stop licks. Like that, or that one double stop lick there. And then pretty much we're just there all the way to the end of the solo now, and we haven't got time to go through all of the licks in there. But one thing that is characteristic of many of them that are in there, the polyrhythms that are being used. Now, before we start, running for the hills at the mention of some jargon, let me just explain what's going on. If you take a 3-note phrase like that, so that's 16 on the 3rd string, pull off to 14, so that's B pulling off to A, and then going to 16 on the 4th string, that's the F sharp note. You could play that as a repetitive lick, and you could play it 3 notes per beat. That would give you triplets, and that would sound, let's put a metronome on, that would sound like this. But a polyrhythm is what you get when you take a repeating group of notes, in this case 3 notes, and play them to a different number of notes per beat. So what we're going to do is we're going to play that 3-note repetitive lick, but rhythmically arrange it in 4 notes per beat. In other words, 16th notes. The way you can kind of get the sound of 16th notes in your head, if you want to try this, is just say Pepsi Cola on each beat. So you could say Pepsi Cola, Pepsi Cola, Pepsi Cola, Pepsi Cola, like that. And if you arrange the notes rhythmically into that sort of, that rhythm, that phrasing, then that same 3-note lick, instead of sounding like this, will begin to sound like this. And there's another one of those later on in the solo where instead of, I'll just shut that up for the moment, instead of the B, A, F sharp, it goes E, 14th on the D string to F sharp, 16th on the D string to the A, 14th on the 3rd string. So like that. Once again in triplets, that would sound like this. And in 16th notes, it would sound like this. And if that sounds familiar, it's because you've heard it many, many times before. It's there's a big section of Paul Kossoff's All Right Now solo that is, largely based on that. So what I think we can say here is that the solo starts off with something that feels quite worked out in advance and composed. That part. And then it's like, okay, I've got that out the way. I'm just going to head off up to the pentatonic position up here and have a little bit of a noodle around, throw in some interesting rhythmic ideas. He does add the D note in up here again in a couple of places. Once at the 15th fret on the B string, and again there's somewhere in the middle of the solo, I forget which bar number it is, but there's a 3 semitone bend from the B at the 16th fret on the 3rd string, where we go like that. He can hear, he's hitting that D note there with that bend. So it's not quite a pentatonic guitar solo, but it's, it's got one extra note that occurs a handful of times. It's mainly an A major pentatonic solo. So, now you've seen what's going on, go away and have some fun with it yourself. And as always, you'll find a full tab in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with a clip of me playing the solo. That explanation you've just seen there and a backing track to play along with all of that is up on my Patreon page. There's the address, link in the description, $3 or £3 a month gets you access to all of these additional resources that go along with these YouTube videos. And a massive, massive thank you to everyone who supports me in that, or any of the other ways, all of which are linked down in the description. And that's pretty much it for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed the video and found it useful, informative, and maybe even a little bit entertaining. And if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream every Friday, 5 PM UK time. We drink beer and talk about music and guitars and whatever else crops up, basically. It's a great way to kick off the weekend, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.